Right now on Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3, crews will be back out at Cherry Creek Reservoir this morning to find a man who drowned over the weekend.
The ultimate goal here with this is a recovery to provide a little piece of closure for the family.
What investigators say led to this tragedy and the boating rules in place until the search is complete.
It's a medical mystery that's stumping doctors across the country. Kids are getting sick with hepatitis, and health officials say at least one of the cases is here in Colorado.
And the Avs need one more win tonight to move on in the playoffs. But they are back on the ice without their goalie, the latest on his recovery after a freak eye injury over the weekend. Darcy Kemper fell to the ground, but he hopefully will be okay and join them later in the playoffs.
Bad one.
Hey, we do have some breaking news out of the basketball world. ESPN reports its sources say Nuggets star forward Nikola Jokic is the league MVP for the second year in a row. A formal announcement is expected this week, but of course we were certain that he's the MVP.
It wasn't a surprise at all, right?
I mean, put the team on his back to get them to the playoffs, averaging 27 points, 14 rebounds. So congratulations to the Joker.
Yeah, one of the bright spots this morning. Lisa Hidalgo, of course, looking at the forecast, and it's looking pretty nice out there too, Lisa.
It is, yeah. It's really pretty. We do have a little bit more cloud cover here early this morning. This is going to clear up a bit more, though, here by this afternoon with more sunshine. Low to mid 40s right now. Winds are fairly calm here in town. They're going to pick up, though, and really all week long, fire danger is likely going to be a concern. By 12 o'clock, we're going to be at right around 70, hitting highs that are about 7 to 10 degrees above that. So upper 70s, near 80 for a high here in town today. So similar to what we saw yesterday. And then again, more sunshine this afternoon. Winds here in town will likely be between about 30 and 40 miles per hour. It is going to be windier south and west of Denver. We could see gusts there closer to 60 miles per hour, which is why we have a lot of alerts when it comes to fire danger being high. We'll talk more about this coming up, and I'll show you just how hot it's going to get on Wednesday on the Super 7 Day.
And I want to first take you, before we get to some of the other problems, up to 96th Avenue at I-76. And you can see that we have a semi-trailer that's flipped over right now. State Patrol's up there right in one of the roundabouts. So it's not affecting I-76, but it's definitely affecting 96th Avenue, trying to get through there. So you will have some delays, unfortunately. Now take a look at the map. So this is the area right up here that we're talking about. We have other problems. Southbound Highway 85 in Fort Lupton with a pretty serious crash at County Road 14 and a half. Most of the delays are on the southbound side, trying to get through there. Northbound was also delayed, and 14 and a half was closed down a bit ago. Take a look at I-70 over here at 225. There's two separate issues here. One, the eastbound side heavy because of a crash that we've had right there at about Chambers Airport. And then you can see back on the map on the northbound side of I-225, there's been a crash right by about Smith Road. So before you get to I-70. So delays not only on I-70, but also here on northbound 225.
A weekend on the water ended in tragedy. A young man died while tubing at Cherry Creek, and search crews will be back at the reservoir this morning looking for the 29-year-old's body. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is near the east boat ramp. Veronica, this of course a reminder of the dangers on the water as things get going again.
It is, and this morning those crews are expected to be back out here at the reservoir searching for the body of that 29-year-old man. We know Colorado State Parks and Wildlife say the man was riding on a tube being pulled by a boat. He fell off, went underwater, never came back up. The Marine Evidence Recovery Team has been at the reservoir searching. In some areas are as deep as 22 feet. CPW has said the 29-year-old man wasn't wearing a life vest, and according to state law, that is required for anyone that's being towed on an inner tube. Now, once crews get out here this morning, the goal is clear, and that is finding that man's body.
All agencies involved at this point are trying to find find that piece of closure for the family, and our condolences really go out to the family members in situations like this.
And the team's original plan was actually to search overnight last night, but because of those winds, that wasn't possible. There won't be boating allowed today on the reservoir. That's just something to keep in mind. We're live in Aurora this morning. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Thank you, Veronica. As people get back out on the water, we saw a few other rescues over the weekend as well. South Metro Fire and Arapahoe County deputies rescued someone at Chatfield Reservoir. Poudre Fire Authority responded to a call of a missing paddleboarder and kayaker at Horsetooth Reservoir. Those people were found safe.
Thankfully. The intersection of 84th Avenue and Washington in Thornton is back open after a deadly crash. One woman died and 4 others were hospitalized yesterday. Police are still investigating what led to the crash. Also, we expect to learn more today after a shooting just a half block away from the 16th Street Mall. 2 men were shot but are expected to be okay. It happened around 2:30 Sunday morning. Police have not released any suspect information.
The CDC is investigating more than 100 mysterious hepatitis cases in children. At least one of the cases is in Colorado. Denver 7's Christian Lopez joins us. Christian, it's not exactly clear what's causing these illnesses.
It's not, and we know that at least 109 kids have gotten sick. 5 of them have died, and these cases have been reported over the past 7 months across 25 states. Hepatitis is an inflammation of the liver, and it's not uncommon in children, but normally it's not severe. The CDC says more than 90% of these kids were hospitalized, 14% required a liver transplant, and officials say that more than half had the adenovirus.
Having this cluster of cases, especially with the numbers of hospitalizations and the 5 deaths, is very concerning. We still don't have all the data necessary to make an informed decision about what is driving this increase in cases.
And around 200 cases are being investigated globally. Health experts are asking parents to be on the lookout for symptoms of liver failure, and these things include fatigue, dark urine, and yellowing of the skin. Live in Denver this morning, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
We've been talking about COVID vaccinations for more than a year, but experts say don't forget the regular vaccines kids need. In the last 5 years, Colorado has seen cases of measles, mumps, and whooping cough, all diseases that can be prevented with vaccines. The latest vaccination statistics show Colorado is number 10 in the country, though, for the worst vaccination rates for childhood diseases. Nationwide, there was a 1% drop in vaccination rates during the 2020-21 school year, and experts say that 1% drop is even more impactful in our state because fewer kids here were already vaccinated.
People are kind of tired of hearing about vaccines. They're tired of hearing about COVID and vaccines. But we know with measles, mumps, rubella, and polio, we know these vaccines are extremely safe and very, very effective. And we also know these viruses are still very virulent. And the only reason we haven't heard about them is because so many people have been immunized and they're not around. But it won't take much for them to come back.
Dr. Washington says most people alive today haven't seen the impact of measles and some of these other diseases. They can cause serious problems and even death. We checked with the state health department, and while numbers are not final for this year or last, in the last 5.5 years, we've had nearly 2,000 cases of whooping cough in Colorado, as well as 230 cases of mumps and 4 cases of measles. We have not, fortunately, had any cases of rubella or polio.
Well, this morning, Russia is facing new sanctions as it observes its Victory Day, commemorating victory over Nazi Germany back during World War II. Today's military holiday, though, is also being closely examined for signs of Russia's next steps in Ukraine. ABC's Justin Finch has a closer look.
Today marks Victory Day in Russia. Russia revering its military and World War II-era win over Nazi Germany. President Putin addressing his people and the world. Putin saying Russia is responding to NATO aggression. President Zelensky with a rebuttal, saying Ukraine will not give up and will soon celebrate 2 Victory Days. In advance of Victory Day, President Biden and G7 leaders sent out new sanctions, saying Vladimir Putin's actions bring shame on Russia and the historic sacrifices of its people. Those sanctions call for cutting off imports of Russian oil, targeting Russian state TV networks, and banning consulting and other services supporting Russia's war. All of this amid a raging battle for control of the East. Ukrainian officials releasing this video, the aftermath of a Russian bombing of a school in the Luhansk region where dozens were hiding. At least 60 people feared dead. At the holdout Azovstal steel complex in Mariupol, the last remaining civilians have reportedly escaped, and the far-right Azov regiment vows a full fight.
We are basically here dead men, yeah. Most of us know this, yes, and why we fight so fearlessly.
I thought it was important to show the Ukrainian people that This war has to stop.
High-profile support from the West. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden holding a Mother's Day meeting with Ukraine's First Lady and displaced children in an unannounced visit to Western Ukraine. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Kyiv in a meeting with President Zelensky, pledging continued support.
As you defend your freedoms, your democracy, your way of life.
Prime Minister Trudeau also announcing Canada's reopening of its embassy in Kyiv. U.S. diplomats were also in Kyiv over the weekend ahead of plans to resume operations soon. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Turning to sports this morning, the Avs could put the first round of the playoffs to bed tonight with a 4-game sweep in their series against the Predators. The puck drops at 7:30 in Nashville. The Avs hold a dominating 3-0 advantage so far, but team captain Gabe Landeskog cautions that anything can happen.
They got their backs against the wall at home. They're going to want to, definitely don't want to get swept at home, and we want to try to end this thing and don't give them any life. So it's going to be a big game on Monday.
Also, Avs goalie Darcy Kuemper will be out for Game 4. He was able to escape what could have been a serious eye injury when the Predators' Ryan Johansson put his stick into Kuemper's face mask. Accidentally, he then dropped to the ice holding his eye. Head coach Jared Bednar said aside from swelling, there doesn't appear to be any other complications. Thank goodness. Johansson later told reporters the move was unintentional and it made him sick to his stomach, so he was happy to hear Kuemper will be okay.
Well, Russell Wilson has been pumping up Broncos country. Now we're learning he and his wife Sierra pumping up the Denver housing market. We're taking a closer look at the record-breaking sale for his new house. Plus,
I'm John Matarese. Don't want to get hit with big home repair bills later this year? I'll show you some simple spring maintenance you should do right now. Coming up.